This is the chilling case where a woman was found head first in mud after a car crash. The water was shallow, so the vehicle barely sank. Her husband stood nearby, shouting that he couldn't find her. But when rescuers found her, nothing about the scene made sense. This is where the questions begin. It's Saturday night, June 10th, 2006. The Dutch province is quiet. The roads are nearly empty and the surroundings appear calm and peaceful. Around 4 a.m., a call reaches emergency services. One car has left the road and ended up in the water along the N247 near Middelly. The witness says a man is standing beside the vehicle. He looks panicked and waves for help. He keeps shouting one sentence that makes everyone uneasy. He can't find his wife. Police arrive within minutes. They see a blue Opel Vectra lying in a ditch about a meter from the bank. The water is shallow, so shallow that the car can't fully sink. The front is slightly lower than the back, but most of the car remains above water. The 42-year-old man named Michel is walking waist deep in the water around the car. He tells officers he pushed his wife out when they hit the water. He says they both got out and then suddenly she disappeared. Firefighters enter the ditch wearing waders. They try to move around the vehicle, but the ground beneath them feels unstable. The mud pulls at their legs, each step sinking deeper. It feels as if the earth is swallowing them. It becomes too dangerous and they retreat. Then a volunteer diver takes over. He moves slowly through the dark water. The visibility is almost zero. He feels with his hands. Mud, silence, cold water, and somewhere in that darkness is Caroline. Only 10 minutes later, he finds her, just 2 meters from the right front of the car. She isn't floating, she's stuck. The rescue teams pull her out with brute force. They try to resuscitate her, but it's too late. The witness who called emergency services says Michel appeared extremely emotional. He even asked to borrow a phone to call his sister. But 6 days later, that same witness calls again. This time, his story changes. He says Michel didn't seem to search properly. He says Michel stood on the shore smoking a cigarette while his wife was still missing. He says Michel only went back into the water when police arrived, and strangely, his upper body stayed dry. That small detail begins to echo loudly. Who were Michel and Caroline? They were both 42 years old and they lived in Horn. They had 2 young children, a 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. They both played American football for the Horn Unicorns. From the outside, they looked like an ordinary family. Michel tells police they were celebrating their 23rd wedding anniversary that evening. The security cameras confirm they entered the casino around 12:15 a.m. They left around 2:30 a.m. Up until that moment, everything matches his story. After that, there are no cameras. There's Michel and only his words. He says Caroline fell asleep in the passenger seat. He says he felt tired near Manicadam. He cracked open the windows to stay awake. He claims he must have fallen asleep after the roundabout near Edam. Then he woke up suddenly to 2 loud bangs and the car was in the water. But questions begin to rise. Why didn't he take the faster and more logical highway, the A7? Why drive along a dark provincial road next to open water? The accident investigators examine the Opel Vectra. The damage is limited. The airbags didn't deploy. There's surprisingly little water inside the car. Police first treat the case as a tragic accident. Then something unexpected happens. Michel's colleagues see a photo of the car in the water. They notice something that disturbs them. The car is mostly above water. If the ditch is that shallow, how could Caroline drown? And how could Michel fail to find her just 2 meters away? They decide to look deeper. Later, they discover empty blister packs of temazepam and tramadol in a trash bin. Tramadol is a strong painkiller that can cause drowsiness. They contact the police. The timing now becomes critical. The cremation was due for that day. The cremation got canceled, and at the last moment, her body went to the NFI, Dutch National Forensics, to perform an autopsy. Here is where we need to pause for a moment. Before we continue, if you enjoy true crime cases like this, make sure to subscribe. This will help me continue making videos like this. If you already have a theory about what happened that night, write it in the comments. Could panic cause someone to thrash and sink that way? Possibly, but why was Michelle not covered in mud? What the NFI finds in her blood changes everything. They find the medication in her blood, and she was still alive when they hit the water. Toxicology reports become crucial. Caroline was still alive when they hit the water. Mud deep in her lungs proves she was still breathing and actively inhaled that material. Police reopened the case with fresh eyes. They analyzed the position of Caroline's body again. Experts question whether a person could naturally end up buried that deeply in such shallow water. The mud is thick, but pushing someone nearly half a meter down requires force. Michelle is questioned again. He tells police that after leaving the casino, Caroline wanted to go to his workplace, a printing shop, because she supposedly wanted to be intimate there. In her bag, the police find snacks and drinks. Then comes a detail that makes the investigation even more grim. Residues of temazepam are found in one of the bottles Caroline had drunk from. Meanwhile, Michelle's behavior is being investigated by the police. His phone is tapped and computers are researched. The only thing they find is the claim that he had an extramarital affair with Dorian, a close friend of both him and Caroline. The relationship had already started before the fatal night. In all this, the family had to suffer. Caroline never came home. 2 children grew up without their mother. The friends struggled to understand how a celebration night ended in tragedy. In July 2007, the verdict comes: 15 years in prison for murder. The sentence stands despite the appeal. The court emphasizes what happened after the car entered the water. If the accident wasn't planned, the murder, according to the court, could have been committed afterwards. Michelle serves his sentence and is later released. The case ends up with a group known for reopening doubtful convictions, Project Year de Twijfel, led by Peter Van Koppen. The core question is painfully simple. What if the diver was mistaken? What if Caroline wasn't 40 to 50 centimeters deep in the mud, but 30? Then the physical scenario suddenly becomes much more plausible, and the foundation of the conviction begins to crumble. Do you think Caroline's death was a tragic fate or planned from the start? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.